Welcome to all of you. It's a pleasure to see so many people in the midst of the crisis and obviously being here in Cannes with all the sun. So happy to see so many people. Thank you. What I'm going to talk about today is, as Steve just briefly touched on, is social media. And in particular, one of the things that we find quite interesting is the whole video space. What's happening with video and how can brands use that as meaningful strategic tools moving forward. The presentation is called, as you can see, Always On, and I'm going to dive straight into it. So basically what I'm going to talk a bit about today, you have to apologize, but I think we need to set the stage. So we're going to talk a bit about the state of the media, a bit about the evolution, what we call the new media ecosystem, and something that we call online content propagation. For the first half of the presentation, I'm going to show you some pretty boring slides with some numbers, but I think it is important to understand why we're talking about this, because otherwise it's just me rambling about why video is interesting. So bear with me. I promise you, the second half of the presentation, there'll be a lot of content, there'll be a lot of interesting things, which I know here in Cannes, that's what you really enjoy and love. So with no further ado, let's get started. State of media. One of the interesting things, obviously, when we talk about video and internet in particular, is that for many years now, since 1994, we've said the internet is transforming kind of everything we know. It's transforming the way we communicate. It's transforming the way we're building brands. It's doing it tomorrow. At least that was what people were saying in 94. That wasn't exactly the case. It's taking a bit longer, but there's no doubt that now actually we are seeing kind of the implications of what we know as the internet, the interactive way of using a media channel. And it's kind of moving beyond the internet. But the interesting thing with this slide is, as you can see, internet in terms of media consumption is actually taking over TV, which for many years have obviously been the biggest pillar within media. So it took more than those couple of years people anticipated in 94, but now we're there. Internet is an important thing. It's fundamental in the way people consume media, and therefore it needs to be fundamental in the way you advise your client as to what they should do. There's still, at least in Europe, there's still a lot of potential. There's still a lot of markets that are not up there, but a lot of them, have very strong penetrations. And with the strong penetration, the important thing with the strong penetrations is that the people that have those penetrations also use the internet in a lot of very sophisticated ways, which I'm going to get back to. But as you can see here, Central Europe, pretty high up there, Nordics, UK in the 80s, and you have a couple of countries even beyond that. So yes, the penetration is there, but there's still potential, of course, in whole of Central and Eastern Europe. The interesting thing with this, why I showed you that prior slide, is, as I said, the thing we see with the internet is that with penetration, what comes with penetration is actually kind of a positive spin-off on people actually interacting with brands in an online context. So basically what you're seeing here, is it's a global survey that Millward Brown actually just released this month, is that actually the people that have the highest penetration, they also have their consumers engaging much more in the brand. They have richer brand experiences because the consumer, they understand how to use those new tools. They understand how to use Twitter. They understand how to use social media. And in turn, the return on your investments in these countries is likely to be higher. That's not to say that you shouldn't do anything in countries that have a low internet penetration. It's just different ball games, and you need to understand kind of what are the different tools you need to apply across those markets. One of the important things also, I think, if you've kind of been following what's been going on in media over kind of the last year or so, is that what we consider traditional print media is changing radically. And the guys that are not kind of on that side, the guys that are not willing to accept this change is in for kind of a disaster, I would have to say. Because at the end of the day, what we're seeing is that a lot of media spend is moving out of what we kind of know as traditional media. So this is just an example. This is from print. So we're seeing a lot of money moving out of print, moving into blogs. People that have set up their own blogs, controlling, a whole crowd of people with their daily, weekly updates. In an example, in Sweden, you have an 18-year-old girl that earns more in terms of advertising dollars than some of the big print titles. We are starting to see more and more of these things because people want kind of to tap into those people that have kind of an edge on things, and it's not happening in the traditional media. New formats are driving the growth. So the interesting thing here is that for kind of the last 5-6 years, what's been driving digital or online in general has really been search. Search has been the big thing, and I'm not saying search is going to go away. The other big thing for the last 10 years has obviously been display.